Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we cut through the information noise so you can get smart fast. Today, we have a mission. We're trying to navigate what our sources keep calling the disorienting fog of the AI shockwave.
That phrase, AI shockwave, it's,
Yeah.
it's really precise because we're not just witnessing faster tools. The period post-2023, it represents a real structural break, a profound, a nonlinear recalibration of what value is, what skills are needed.
So not just a new tech cycle.
No, not at all.
This is a fundamental change to infrastructure. Can you give us a sense of the scale here? I mean, where are we already seeing this disruption happening?
You see it everywhere. The cost of digital creation just plummets. I can give you three quick examples. We're seeing engineering blueprints optimized by algorithms that explore parameter spaces, well,
Yeah.
far beyond what any human could intuit.
Okay.
Legal contracts are being drafted, reviewed, even stress tested in seconds against, decades of case law. And in medicine, this is a big one. Diagnostic AIs are seeing patterns in pathology and radiology that are truly invisible to the human eye. They're an instant force multiplier.
Our deep dive suggests the core idea behind this whole shift is the generative boom moving from a novelty to, to being ambient.
That's it, exactly, ambient.
So generative capabilities, text, code, images, they're not standalone products anymore. They're embedded in every layer of the digital stack, your OS, your design software.
And the primary economic impact of this ambient generation, it's actually simple, but it's profound. It's the drastic reduction of the marginal cost of digital creation and reasoning down to near zero.
Right. Why pay a junior analyst for 2 days of work to draft a summary when an agent can do a better job in 2 minutes?
Exactly, and that just destabilizes every economic model that was built on the scarcity of those, lower-level skills.
But saving time on generating content doesn't seem to equal instant productivity. Our sources point to a major friction point. They call it the integration chasm. So if an AI gives me a first draft instantly, but I now have to spend all this time on verification checking for hallucinations, for bias, I'm not really saving time. I'm just trading one kind of labor for a much higher stress one.
That's the productivity paradox we're all living through. The time you save in execution is it's consumed by the time you have to spend on verification. And the psychological burden on the human goes way up when they know the tool could lie to them, but it could also generate something brilliant.
So how are institutions structuring their systems to mitigate this immediate loss of trust?
They had to adopt a layered approach, what we're calling the AI stack, to get reliability back. You have the foundation model layer at the bottom, like a generic GPT-4. Then layered above that is the really crucial fine-tuning and orchestration layer. That's where you customize the model with your own company's verified data. Then critically, you need the guardrails and evaluation layer. This does bias checks, toxicity scoring, output validation, all before the information ever hits the final tool.
Which is the application layer.
The application layer.
Yeah.
Right. The goal isn't to eliminate hallucinations. It's to contain them behind your own internal defenses.
Okay, so let's unpack this shift by looking at the professional roles that are being, recomposed right now. We're moving from being a task performer to a system orchestrator.
And the engineer is the perfect place to start. They've probably had the most immediate, most visible disruption.
Our sources cite figures suggesting AI coding assistants, like Copilot, can boost productivity somewhere between 55 and 70%. It automates the boilerplate, the routine stuff, but doesn't that risk turning the engineer into just a prompt writer? Where's the value add now?
Well, the value of routine coding has plummeted precisely because it's no longer scarce. The engineer's value pivots dramatically from being a code producer to what you might call a cognitive architect, a meta-engineer. Their premium shifts entirely to system-level thinking, to problem formulation, deciding what to build, and governance, how to integrate these AI components safely.
So the upskilling for them isn't about learning the newest programming language feature. It's about becoming an AI-augmented software architect or maybe a digital twin specialist.
Precisely. Highly strategic, non-routine roles. Now, if we shift from code to the clinic, the doctor's role is changing just as profoundly. They're moving from being the sole repository of medical knowledge to being the interpreter and the empath.
Right. AI models can now match or even beat human specialists in detecting subtle things in radiology pathology.
Especially in high-volume settings, yeah.
So if the AI spots a microlesion the human eye missed, that's life-saving. But how do you, as the doctor, explain that to a patient? The human part feels critical here.
It is. The core role becomes three things: verification, explanation, and empathy. And that's where this black box challenge comes in. A doctor cannot responsibly act on a diagnosis they can't explain or defend.
To a patient or in a court of law.
Exactly. The interpretability problem is acute. Why did the AI flag this? Is a clinical, a legal, and an ethical necessity. The doctor is now the human interface.
And what about the data the AI is trained on if it has historical biases, like focusing on health outcomes of privileged groups? It seems like the AI could just codify health disparities.
That is the systemic challenge. If the system is trained on biased data, it will perform poorly or even incorrectly for underrepresented groups. So it's not just about using a faster tool, it's about designing the system responsibly so the outcome is humanized, high-quality care, not machine-driven inequality.
Let's move to the legal sector. The promise here seems to be escaping the tyranny of the billable hour for routine work. What's disappearing?
Huge chunks of routine work. Legal research, the initial drafting of contracts, labor-intensive discovery review. If a junior associate's value was measured by hours spent wading through documents, that value is now essentially zero.
So the lawyer's value shifts from draftsman to strategist. The premium is now on persuasion, complex negotiation, client management.
And human judgment, applying it to novel situations where no precedent exists.
That's right. The upskilling pathway isn't just about using a new tool. It's becoming a legal technologist, designing efficient service delivery models, or specializing in the law of technology itself.
AI regulation, data privacy.
IP rights for Gen AI content, all of it. It's a whole new field.
We've covered the functional changes. Now, let's pivot to the three. Well, the three profound systemic roadblocks that threaten this whole integration: trust, bias, and the planetary cost.
Let's start with bias, or what we're calling embedded injustice. AI systems don't invent biases, they just perpetuate and amplify the biases that are already in their training data.
Like historical hiring data showing a preference for one group. The AI just learns that pattern and keeps prioritizing it. The biggest hurdle in fixing that is, well, it's socio-technical. There is no single mathematical definition of fairness. Do you optimize for equal outcomes or equal opportunity? There are trade-offs. The only solution is proactive model auditing. Using frameworks like fairness indicators before you ever deploy the system. You have to decide your definition of fairness before you press go.
Which connects directly to the problem of trust, the trust deficit. We all know the term hallucination, the model just making things up.
Like citing a non-existent Supreme Court case in a legal brief.
Exactly.
And the core flaw is simple. These models optimize for coherence, not truth. They're statistical pattern completers. They invent because they are trying to sound confident and complete the pattern.
So if the model inherently favors sounding right over being right, what's the technical fix to ground it in reality?
The solution that's become standard is retrieval augmented generation, RG. Instead of letting the model guess, you force it to ground its responses in a verified external knowledge base, like a company's own internal documents. It has to retrieve verified information first, then use that to form its response. It has to cite its sources. It drastically reduces the risk.
RA sounds expensive, which brings us to the third critical challenge, the unsustainable engine, the energy cost. Our sources say training a single large foundation model can emit the same carbon as the lifetime emissions of 5 cars.
The scale is immense, and the bottleneck is shifting. A few years ago, it was all about compute getting more GPUs. Now we're hitting a ceiling on high-quality licensed text data, so we're burning massive amounts of energy to train on increasingly finite data.
Which means we need to transition to what our sources call green AI metrics. We have to stop measuring progress by just size or speed.
We have to. We need to focus on accuracy per unit of CO2 emitted. Progress has to justify the immense environmental cost. The question has to shift from can we build it bigger to can we build it smarter and cleaner?
Absolutely. And this whole journey leads back to you, the listener, and the personal blueprint for adaptation. Our research summarizes the post-2023 equation for job sustainability like this. Sustainability equals your domain knowledge plus experience.times. Your AI fluency plus critical thinking plus adaptive learning.
AI fluency. That's the new fundamental competency, the new fourth R. And it requires more than just using a chatbot. It demands critical evaluation, the ability to assess outputs for bias, for accuracy, and to maintain a healthy skepticism.
And since AI handles the predictable stuff, the highest premium shifts to what we call cognitive agility.
Yes, excelling at metacognition, thinking about your thinking and integrative synthesis, so connecting ideas across different fields.
Can you break down metacognition for a professional? Is that just introspection?
It's strategic introspection. It's the ability to pause and assess the quality of your own thinking process. It means knowing which tasks to offload to the AI, which tasks need human review, and crucially, knowing when to stop listening to the AI and apply your own judgment.
Which gets to the big debate. Is AI making us smarter or dumber?
Our sources conclude that the outcome depends entirely on the intentionality principle. Passive consumption of AI output that causes skill atrophy, you use it as a substitute for effort, you get duller. But active, critical collaboration, where you are directing and auditing the AI, that frees up cognitive bandwidth and it sharpens the mind.
And the primary way we engage in that critical collaboration is through prompt engineering, moving from just issuing a command to engineering a context.
That contextual framing is key. And for any complex reasoning task, the technique that unlocks higher accuracy is chain of thought prompting, SOT.
Which means forcing the AI to think step by step in the prompt, right?
Exactly. Instead of asking, what's the best negotiation strategy? You structure it. You say, first, analyze the counterparty's risk appetite. Second, list 3 negotiation levers. Third, propose a counteroffer based on those findings.
That's a huge difference. By forcing it to show the intermediate steps, you don't just improve the accuracy, you can actually debug its process. You can audit its thinking.
Which brings us to the 3 capabilities that become exponentially more valuable when everything else is automated. The triad of enduring human value.
First, the sense maker.
Yes, that's the person who interprets the AI output in a broader human or market context. They answer the so what and why does this matter questions.
Which an AI can't. Second is emotional and social intelligence, ESI.
The irreducible human kernel. AI can mimic empathy, but it can't genuinely build trust. Negotiation, mentorship, navigating complex social dynamics, that becomes the ultimate competitive advantage.
And finally, continuous learning routines.
The half-life of skills is just plummeting. The mindset of perpetual beta is mandatory now. The value is shifting from what you know today to what you can learn tomorrow.
So this entire deep dive shows we're transitioning from a job apocalypse narrative to a job metamorphosis narrative.
That's a great way to put it. The future belongs to the hybrid professional.
And the ultimate challenge isn't just technical, it's organizational and profoundly human. It's about building wiser humans and more resilient institutions.
It is. Our sources note that one of the biggest challenges will be the psychological adjustment required to cede authority to a demonstrably superior AI in certain domains.
It's like trusting an autopilot in a high-stakes environment.
Exactly. If the value of human labor shifts from what we can execute, which an AI can handle at 2 a.m., to what we can decide, then our most crucial function becomes the curation of meaning.
Wow.
In a world where AI can achieve almost any goal we set, the ultimate human skill will be deciding which goals are worth pursuing in the first place, and having the courage to trust our own uniquely human intuition over the sheer data of our synthetic partners. So the final question is, what metric will you use to define value when productivity is infinite?
That is the ultimate question. Thank you for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.